For 16 hours, a cafe in Sydney CBD was the focus of much of the world. A terrorist had taken 18 people hostage inside the Lindt cafe and was demanding to speak to then Prime Minister Tony Abbott. As we know now, 2 people were killed that day, 10 years ago this weekend. But a decade on, the memories are still very raw for those at the centre of the attack.
We are being tested today in Sydney. The police are being tested, the public is being tested.
We've moved to a footing that would be consistent with a terrorism event.
But whatever the test, we will face it head on.
Sydney's Lindt Cafe, in the city's heart. It was the 15th of December, 10 years ago. At about 8:30 that morning, self-proclaimed Muslim cleric Man Haron Monis walked into the popular Martin Place cafe.
Islamic terror paralysed the city.
Armed with a sawn-off shotgun and wearing a backpack, Monis, who was on bail for other serious offences, took his hostages captive. 18 in all, 10 customers and 8 staff members.
But it's impossible to hide their terror. The hostages on show, pinned up against the window.
Sydney CBD locked down.
All but the police helicopter ordered out of the sky as police shut down several CBD roads.
Inside the cafe, Monis used his hostages as human shields, forcing them to hold up a jihadist flag. There were fears his backpack contained a bomb. The Sydney Opera House was evacuated after reports a suspicious package had been found there. Islamic terror had arrived on our shores.
Nobody has been harmed or injured at the moment.
As minutes dragged to hours, there were glimmers of hope. As 3 brave hostages made a dash for it. Just over an hour later, another 2 made it to safety. Day turned into night as police continued to negotiate.
So that negotiation is at a very, very delicate stage. As each hour passes, I guess it gets more delicate because people inside that cafe will be getting tired.
Hi everyone, I'm Selena Wingpay. I'm one of the many hostages here at the Lindt Cafe at Martin Place.
Videos emerged of the hostages clearly made under duress, repeating their captors' demands for an Islamic State flag. They called him brother.
Our ISIS brother has been very fair to us. He's helped us, given us water and let us go to the bathroom and help my medication. All he wants is a flag and a phone call from our Prime Minister.
Under the cover of darkness, a group of hostages made a run for it. The blast of a shotgun broke the silence. After 16 long hours, that was the trigger for police to launch what's known as an emergency action plan. It was a dramatic and bloody end to a siege that had captivated the nation. Monis was killed as police stormed the stronghold, hit 13 times by police bullets. But not before he had executed cafe manager Tori Johnson. Barrister and mother of 3, Katrina Dawson, also died when she was caught in the crossfire and hit by stray police bullet fragments. Archbishop Anthony Fisher.
Reports have also emerged that Katrina Dawson was shielding her pregnant friend from gunfire.
It is hard not for our heart to become a little heavier. Young Australians with a huge future.
The Lindt Cafe, a scene of terror, became a scene of heartbreak and sorrow. The city of Sydney shared communal grief. What started as a small floral tribute became a field of flowers. Sydney had faced the terrorist head-on, but it came at a terrible price. 2 innocent lives lost.
10 years on, it's still so emotional to watch, and a survivor of the Lindt siege, Louisa Hope, joins me now. Louisa, thanks for coming on. I can't imagine what it's like for you to see that, because I can feel it. Anniversaries can hit hard. How are you?
It definitely has been harder this year, the 10-year anniversary, I must say. But it is every year. And actually, Layla, it's really every day. So, it doesn't change, doesn't go away.
When we look at that, it really changed Australia, didn't it? We hadn't seen anything like that before. And I know that in speaking about it over the years, you've spoken about a loss of innocence. I mean, it affected everybody to a certain extent, didn't it?
Definitely. Whenever I share about the Lindt Cafe and what happened there, I always ask people where they were that day, and invariably everyone can tell me where they were.
Yeah.
It happened to all of us, actually.
I'll never forget watching and seeing your faces against the window. That's etched in my memory. I can only imagine how images must haunt you. Is that the case?
I find that certain things do come back to me. But, I had the good fortune about 8 years post-siege to have some very good therapy, some EMDR therapy, and that's made significant difference to post-traumatic stress for me.
Yes, because I saw you watching the package, and I can't imagine the strength that you have to face looking at that.
Well, we can't hide, you see. We have to face it. This is what happened to all of us. And I find that watching those kind of programs, those little clips, of course, it brings it all back, but, you have to stand strong.
Now, you were forced to make a video plea, which we saw there. It's incredible to me how much composure you had in that moment. You didn't feel like you had composure?
Definitely not. No. He was very interesting that moment, because he had said to us all, say what you want to say, but say this and say that. And, so it was quite intimidating and stressful, actually, doing it.
You were injured, wounded by a bullet. Tell me about your physical and your mental recovery over the years.
Well, I took a shrapnel hit to my foot, which was pretty fierce, and also to my abdomen. So that was also not recognised in the immediate. I was more concerned about my foot and the pain. But yes, so, and of course, psycho-emotionally, I have to say that you walk the line when you're involved in a traumatic situation like this, and it's one day at a time.
Because soldiers and police officers who are trained in these situations, they get post-traumatic stress disorder. You were going for a coffee in a peaceful city with your mum. Do you think that makes it worse, that there's this sort of complete disconnect between the mundane and the outrageously violent?
I think that, when anybody faces violence or trauma, the brain doesn't recognise the cause or the reason or anything. It just experiences trauma. So, yes, it seemed like that was the worst thing that could happen. However, trauma is every day for a lot of people.
Yes, you make a good point. And of course, 2 people lost their lives in the attack. And I think it's very important, isn't it, that we remember them, we remember their names, we remember their faces.
Absolutely. Tori and Katrina are forever with me, as no doubt all of the other hostages. But the grief and sadness of their loss belongs to their families and their small children, and it's heartbreaking for them.
I know that the siege weighs heavily on the police who were there, and there was a lot of criticism that they should have taken down the terrorist sooner. What are your thoughts on that?
Now I went to the inquest, of course, which had its own traumatic impact, I have to say, but I realise now, having done quite a bit of work with the New South Wales Police, that they have done their best to overcome the problems or the issues that they had, and to push through and find better solutions.
So you're confident that if anything were to happen, and God forbid, that it would be handled differently now?
I believe so. There's been a lot of work done with the negotiators, the police now have what they call flows, which is family liaison officers, which will help post an incident, which is really good, really needed.
What do you think about the way that Australia handled the incident in the aftermath? Because I understand that you were concerned there could be race riots or hatred after the attack. How do you think we've done?
I mean, you know, you have to, honestly, that was my greatest fear on the night when I was brought out onto Phillip Street, you know, that we would have race riots in the street. And so the flowers were such a relief to me. They were for, you know, the grieving families. But of course, for me to see them and to see how Australia responded. And I think that that's the most important thing for this anniversary, that we remember the resilience and the determination of the Australian people to not be overcome by that kind of violence.
To react in a peaceful, supportive way. And also all credit to you, because you have taken so many positives and done so many incredible things after this. Tell us about some of the work that you've done as a result.
My absolute privilege to be involved with the Nurses of New South Wales. I participate in the judging of the New South Wales Excellence Awards, which is such a privilege. And also now we are busily working on what we call VOTA, VOTA, Victims of Terrorism Australia. And it's about helping people, Australians and New Zealanders, who've been involved in terror attacks, both here and around the world, and people would be surprised at how many Australians have been involved.
Well, it's incredible work that you do, and you've been an incredible spokesperson, and you are greatly admired in this country.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Louisa, for coming in.